Good afternoon and welcome to Locked On NBA Daily. On today's show, it's time to check in on the play-in race in the East. Who can still escape the play-in tournament and make the playoffs outright? Do we trust the Sixers or the Heat? The Hawks or the Bulls? We'll talk about all the teams involved. Plus, are the Hornets a team that we need to be paying more attention to? All of that and more coming up.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network, however you're tuning in, on YouTube or on your podcast app. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. I'm Wes Goldberg, and today we're checking in on the play-in race in the Eastern Conference. We're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts. I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast. He's a senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
Wearing my Vancouver Grizzlies hat today, and thinking back to simpler times when the owner of the Grizzlies wasn't accused of war crimes. So that's what I'm up to.
From the Locked On Bulls podcast, also a Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report, it's Haize.
After one day off, I'm back and I'm pettier than ever.
Let's jump right into it. We are checking in on the play-in races over the next couple of days. We're going to start in the Eastern Conference. Right now, 7 through 10 in the East are the Heat, the Magic, the Bulls, the Hawks, the Bucks, or I'm sorry, that's 7 through 10. And then you've got the Bucks and the Hornets sort of on the outer edges there of the play-in tournament. Little graphic here for those watching on YouTube. On the lower end, we've got the Bucks here, 3 games back of the Hawks at that 10th spot. The Hornets are 3.5 games back. We'll talk about those teams in a second. But when you look at the teams right now in the play-in mix, all of them have been up and down for various reasons throughout the season. But who do you trust the most to climb out of the play-in tournament, Haize?
Probably your Miami Heat because of coaching. My answer usually would have been the Orlando Magic here, which I still do think they'll get out the play-in. But like the Magic season has just been so weird that I don't have very much trust for the Magic right now. That could change here, maybe towards middle of February. But I'd say your Miami Heat right now.
Are the Sixers included in this?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
That's the tough one. I think I think we got to kind of tier this a little bit where it's like the Sixers and Heat are kind of serious teams. Like they're pretty serious. So like those two teams, I think, are in the battle to get out, right? Especially if you're looking at the idea of Cleveland. Cleveland is kind of on the trajectory of like getting themselves together after whatever that first really 2.5 months was. They're starting to put it together. I think Cleveland gets out. I think Miami gets out. Sixers, I think, are on the bubble. I think it's Sixers, Miami on the bubble. Those are the teams that I trust the most because everybody else, including the Orlando Magic, I don't trust. I do not have any sort of trust or faith in those teams with how their season has gone. I do not think that they're in a good position to be able to get out of this. A lot of this is like trying to parse through. What's interesting here is when you have these teams that are inherently inconsistent because they're hovering around 500, you really got to start looking at which ones are actually good and which ones they're only kind of here because they managed to win some games instead of actually having any sort of profile that fits them from a positive perspective. And there's a lot of ways for you to get in. The bigger thing is like, you have to be consistent. That to me is the bigger question here is not what the best teams are. It's who is the most consistent team are going to be the ones that are going to make the play in because that's how you wind up winning enough games to make it in.
You know, you look at that group there, to your point, Matt, Philadelphia, Miami, Orlando, I think is maybe in that mix there as a serious team. You've got Chicago and Atlanta that are basically just fighting to stay at 500. Those other 3 teams, I think we'd all probably guess they finish over 500 by a few games, I would imagine. But with the Sixers, they do have the benefit of having the best player involved in all of the teams that we're talking about in terms of Tyrese Maxey, and then maybe another best player involved in Joel Embiid. The way that he's been playing, it just feels like the Sixers are the team out of this entire group that are getting stronger as the season goes on. So when you look at them, they're 24-21. Miami's 25-22. I agree. It's probably one of those teams. Like Cleveland at this point, they're 2.5 games up. That's not impossible, but they've got a nice little cushion right now in that 5th spot. So we'll see, but they could certainly fall out of it. But between Philadelphia and Miami, I think those are the 2 teams on the bubble. And I think for both of those teams, very, very important, Haize, for one of them to come out of the play-in tournament. But when you look at the Sixers, are you feeling better about them than maybe you did a few weeks ago?
Yeah. The Sixers are a team that, because of the play of Tyrese Maxey, even Joel Embiid, Paul George staying relatively healthy and actually playing decently well too. Like I think the Sixers are going to be a tough team if they get health at the right time. It's not. I'm not worried about playing. We could be talking about a team that legitimately has a chance to make it into the second round and maybe further.
Okay, so here's the problem, right? Is like that's how it feels to me. Is I feel like when I've like watched the Sixers, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like one of those, like they're in the range of those teams in the East where it's like, hey, they're a serious, they could actually win this. We had that question this week about like, are the Sixers actually an Eastern Conference contender? I do think over the course of 82 games, the reason I pay so much attention to some of the numbers in the regular season is it's not just like I like numbers. I do like numbers.
I'm supposed to say don't try to act like you don't love numbers.
I'm a nerd. I do like the numbers. But it's that if you look back historically, they're the best indicator. Like that stuff gets past your feelings and what's actually going on. And here's the problem. Sixers is 0.0 on net rating. They've won by your point differential. You can actually calculate what you should win, right? The Sixers are basically 2 games better than they should be in record. If we adjust back for that, now all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, they're right in the mix with all these other teams. Like they're right there with all these other teams. I agree that the Sixers, I feel like when they play well, they're awesome, but the wins and losses aren't there. Like they are perilously close to being, a little bit closer here to compare, by the way, like Miami's plus 1.4 in non-garbage time on cleaning the glass. Charlotte's plus 1.4. Then you got Philly. And this is the one I think that, Wes, I think you breezed over this. I am not confident. I'm trying to figure out how far I want to go on this. Right now, as we sit here right now, I don't think the Magic are making it out. I don't think they're making the playoffs.
You don't think the Magic are making the playoffs?
Are you including the play-in tournament?
Making the playoffs.
They'll make the play-in tournament, but not make it out of the play-in tournament.
Yeah. Man, this team's been inconsistent. We can move past. Let's move past the health stuff, right? With Franz, Paolo, Suggs, and Wagner, they're plus 16.3 in net rating. That's incredible. That's awesome. That's so good. Blah, blah, blah. But they've played so few minutes together that it's boosted because it's basically like they've only played together when they've had an opportunity to play well versus certain opponents. If we start looking at all these other combos, what is it that the Magic are good at? Like that, we used to be able to be like they're elite defensively. I don't know that they are. I don't know that this Magic team is elite defensively this season. They're 15th. Like, what is Orlando great at? And we do this thing where we wind up getting caught up in but the injuries, which pretends that everyone that they face is also healthy, which isn't true. They've also faced teams that are also hurt. And when we look at these other teams, look, the bigger problem here is like, I don't know that they're that much better than Atlanta or Chicago. If Atlanta or Chicago play any better, they're going to be at least on the level or slightly better than Orlando. I think Orlando's in real trouble.
I mean, I agree. I can see where you're coming from. They're definitely in trouble. I mean, if this continues and they don't right the ship here soon, they're definitely in trouble. I last year when Magic were also a playing team, I was like, oh, they're going to make it out the play-in. There's no question about it. They'll make it out the play-in. I don't feel as confident in it this year as I have in prior years. And that is not just the injuries. It's also the performance. It's the fact that this team has had the same flaw now for 3 years. You have the same flaw for 3 years. Team's going to figure out how to defend you better each and every time. And while you added Bane, who has kind of turned the season around from how it started the first month of the season, they still they aren't elite defensively anymore. So Matt makes a great case there.
So then to keep in mind, and we've got 4 years of the play-in tournament. It's a tiny sample. Okay, it's tiny, but I do kind of just take as, all right, what have we seen? The 7 seed has never failed to get in. So that gets us, if we agree, Cavs are out of that group, Heat are out of that, and then it's Heat Sixers. Both of those teams are likely going to make it. Then the question becomes like of those other squads. Okay, Magic, Hawks, Bulls, and then Hornets. Hornets is the toughest one, Wes, because the Hornets they're not just like they're 15-11 now when they've got Knipple, LaMelo, and Miller. Like they're just good.
Mm-hmm.
They rebound. They do all these things. We talked about the weird kind of stuff about how they're not really what you think they are. And if they are, a lot of this is literally, are you going to be able to stay healthy? Right. And that's why doing the projections, I think, is very difficult, because I could sit here and be like, well, I think blah, blah, blah. But if the Bulls have, I'm trying to think, if Io, knock on wood, hope it doesn't happen. If Io gets hurt, all right, the Bulls are probably screwed. If the Hawks, right, if Porzingis never comes back, they got no shot. But if the Hornets stay healthy, if everybody stays healthy, I'm not sure that the Hornets aren't the best out of these, out of Magic, Hawks, Bulls, Hornets. I'm not sure that the Hornets are the best team.
I want to put a pin in that, because that's the team I want to explore a little bit more, because that's the team that's making the push right now. The Hornets have won 3 games in a row. They had the blowout win against the Sixers on yesterday. Based on the way they're playing, they might be the most dangerous team that we're talking about here. We're going to talk about that next here on Locked On NBA. Today's episode is brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever just to hand things off, move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done by you for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms, and work to get you every deduction possible. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. So for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150, all in, if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just filed before February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily, the best way to support the show. Subscribe on YouTube. We are Monday to Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcasts. In terms of the teams that could sneak into the play-in, the Hornets might be the team to watch here. They blew out the Sixers last night. They've won 3 games in a row. They are currently 3.5 games behind Atlanta in that 10th spot here. Here's more from how the Hornets are playing from our old friend at Locked On Hornets.
And so when people say, what's gotten into the Charlotte Hornets? It's about health, but it's also about these guys like Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple, Miles Bridges, Moussa Diabate, Grant Williams, Josh Green, NBA-level players that know what to do when the ball is in their hands, but then the next level, playing together with each other consistently so that they not only know what they individually need to do, but they know collectively as a unit what everyone else is supposed to be doing. Brandon Miller, 30 points. That's the 6th straight game that Brandon Miller has led the Charlotte Hornets in scoring, but the first of those 6 games where he scored 30 or more points. That speaks to the ball movement, to the ball sharing that is happening, that Miller is certainly, with his shooting ability, he is leading the way. His ability to get shots over defenders, his just always being available. And some of that is Brandon just knowing where to be. He has an excellent basketball IQ. Like, he understands, and he makes good decisions with the ball too. Like, he's rarely taking a bad shot.
A lot there from our old friend Doug Branson, but Haize, Matt says that the Hornets might be the most dangerous team that we're talking about here. They've got some work to do, right? They're 3.5 games back. They got some work to do, but based on the way they're playing, maybe they can get in. If they do get in, when you look at them, are they maybe the best team out of this group?
They might be. One thing that Matt talks about the numbers a lot. A number that in the Eastern Conference specifically that usually shakes out pretty close to how the standings finish is point differential. The Charlotte Hornets have the 7th best point differential in the Eastern Conference, which bodes well for them. If they have health and continue playing this way, they probably will be one of the most dangerous teams in that playing area. They have the best point differential out of the 76ers, Orlando Magic, Atlanta Hawks, and Chicago Bulls. The Charlotte Hornets have the best point differential out of those teams. So yeah, they are definitely a threat to come up to make it out that plane.
Man, so I'm looking at predictably, where I go to is, all right, let's say that this is going to be a dogfight all the way to the end, and you're going to be within a handful of games, right? You're scrapping. It's going to be a game here, a game there. Tiebreakers wind up mattering a lot in that situation. I've 57 times over the last 10 years, playoff seeding has been determined by tiebreaker in various instances. The Hornets lead 2-1 versus Chicago. They lead 2-1 versus the Magic. They are split with the Sixers 1-1. Like, they're in a really good position here. Like, they're 1-1 with the Hawks. They're not in bad tiebreaker position on any of these. They've won the games versus these teams in this group. That matters a ton when you're trying to catch up here. Especially because, like, you don't have to worry about division winner being the deciding factor in any of these. From a basketball perspective, to me, it's the Hornets. Okay, if we kind of go down the list and we go down the line and we're like, all right, what are these teams good at? What are they bad at? And the Hornets are a great rebounding team. So that's positive. We know they can score because they've got so much offense. Like, they're 18th in offense. They are in defense. Think about this. The Charlotte Hornets are 18th in defense. The Magic right now are only grayed out 15th. Think about that. Like, they're 3 spots behind them. And that's with them playing like absolute dog water for the first 2 months of the season, being so banged up. Now, the problem with all this is just like, what are the odds that LaMelo gets banged up and has an ankle problem and then misses a month and then they're screwed? But we've always kind of thought Charles Lee was a good coach. Hasn't really shown it. And now it looks like all that work that they've done is paying off. Kalkbrenner is, I love Kalkbrenner. I love Sion James. I love their role guys. I think that this team really has the combo. If they could just ditch Miles Bridges into the sun, I think they're in a really good spot to make the run.
That starting lineup, just to point it out, though, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, Miles Bridges, and Musa Diabate.
Yep.
Of all the lineups in the league that have played at least 100 minutes, it's 44 lineups. They have the best net rating of any 5-man group that has played that many minutes.
Crazy.
They are plus 26.5 points per 100 possessions. That's better. That's their starting lineup. That's better than the Thunder's starting lineup. The Thunders are number 2. So that starting lineup works. You've got Grant Williams now and Josh Green playing a little bit more, and those are, they're at least like rotation NBA guys, right? Like, they know what to do when they have the ball and know how to play defense and all these things. They are, to Matt's point, very well coached. Charles Lee has been doing this for a while with Charlotte. Like, they've always been a team that crashes the boards. They've always been a team that gets up a bunch of threes. Like, he's put the blueprint there, and it's just a matter of the talent kind of filling it in. And now with Con Knipple and Brandon Miller sort of ascending here, they clearly are. And by the way, LaMelo Ball playing pretty well lately. They've got wins over the last 2 days over the Thunder, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Magic, the Sixers. Like, these are really solid wins that the Hornets are stringing together here. Haize, when we talked about teams that might be getting stronger as the season goes on, it feels like the Hornets are that team.
It feels like that, but it's probably a safe bet too that this is all going to implode for them at some point because it's Charlotte Hornets and it always does. Listen, I love Doug Branson. Shout out to Doug Branson actually having a little drip on with the hat there. It was good to see him do that. But this is still the Charlotte Hornets organization that we've talked about. Things can always look good for them. It always comes crashing down at some point.
Yeah, I think one of the things here is I am always of the mindset that whatever's going on right now isn't what's going to hold, right? Which goes against everything I've said today, which is like, hey, the Magic have really struggled and they're going to miss, and the Hornets have been really good and they're going to make it. But we've done this so many times. We had the conversation 2 weeks ago. Are the Wolves a serious content? They've lost 5 straight. Like, every time that we leave a team for dead, they start winning. Like, are the Knicks in panic mode? Knicks have won 2 straight.
You're right.
Right.
The Hornets are about to go into a losing streak.
Yeah, the Hornets, like, this is what because this is the court. This is what happens when you have 82 games. It's too long for you to be able to do it. The other thing here, I would say here's a warning sign. Charlotte is 9-8 versus bottom 10 point differential teams in the NBA. That's a huge red flag to me. Because now some of that can be earlier when they weren't hurt. Like, it's about the timing. If you're healthy when you play the good teams and you're hurt when you play the bad teams, it winds up in that situation. But you got to be, again, I'll repeat this. You got to be consistent. If you beat the games I always think are most important, home games, division games, and teams under 500. If you win those 3 types of games, which are you're at the advantage when you're home, you're at the advantage when you're under 500, the opponent's under 500, and you're at the advantage when you know the opponent. It's a division game because you're battling inside those standings. You will make the playoffs. But they got to get better in terms of being consistent night to night. You can't be like, whoa, they beat so-and-so.
There's a reason that these teams, these are the playing teams, right? Like, the teams you're talking about, like, that's the Pistons. Those are the teams that end up at the top. Like, they're not worried about the play-in team. The consistency is the superpower of the good teams, right? Like, those are the teams that end up finishing with a top 4 seed.
I mean, you could say that. Guess who the 5th best team against those? This is against those top 10 teams. Like, yeah, Philadelphia is another good example of this, right? You want to know why we think Philadelphia is so awesome? They're 11-3 versus top 10 differential teams. Like that's
crazy,
absolutely wild. So.
Let's take one more look at the standings here. So we've got Philadelphia, Miami, Orlando, Chicago, Atlanta, Milwaukee, Charlotte, 6 through 12 in the Eastern Conference. Haize, we'll start with you. I'm not going to ask you to rank all of them, but in terms of like the trustability rankings, if we're going to do it, like which team do you think ultimately comes out of the play-in tournament? What teams do you think ultimately, when I say come out of the play-in, escape the play-in tournament altogether? What team ends up getting 6? And then what 2 teams do you see, if you're going to make a prediction right now, come out of the play-in?
I'll still predict. I don't think the 76ers are going to be in the play-in. I think they'll avoid the play-in. So when you look at the teams that are going to be in the play-in that have to come out, I'd still probably say give me Miami and Orlando.
Matt?
It's a boring ass answer. It's a boring answer. Boo on you. Bad for the content, sir.
I don't do stuff for content. I am the content.
That's can we clip that?
Is my presence.
Can we clip that for later? That's absolutely incredible. I'm actually, here's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Chicago gets in. So 6 Miami, 7 Philly, 8 Chicago, 9 Charlotte, 10 Hawks, and the Hornets get out.
The Hornets and who?
The Hornets and the Sixers get in, and the Bulls lose in the play-in tournament.
All right. I got the Heat escaping the tournament. I think the Heat finished 6th, and I think
of course
Sixers
you do, Wes.
And the Hornets come out of the play-in tournament. We're going to look ahead to some headlines. I'm going to ask you guys, who do you want to see in the dunk contest next? More all-star content.
Ooh.
Your favorite. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part always hasn't been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast, without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. Using the app is simple. Pull up the Game Time app, pick an upcoming NBA game, and get tickets locked in within minutes. You'll love seeing the all-in price up front, meaning no surprise fees at checkout. And with their seat views, you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you'll have confidence in your purchase. If you want to save a little extra, check out Zone Deals. You choose the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. Thanks for making Locked On NBA Daily your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network has a show for every team. Check out the shows for Locked On Sixers, Locked On Hornets, Locked On Heat, Locked On Bulls with Haize, Locked On Hawks, Locked On Magic for more on the teams that we talked about today who are in the mix in that play-in stuff. Let's end today's show with a round of the real question.
What is real? How do you define real? Is it possible? I didn't say it would be easy.
Mac McClung is in the news. He was the winner of the last 3 dunk contests, but will reportedly not participate in this year's dunk contest. So, boys, the real question.
What is real?
Who do you want to see in the dunk contest this year? Haize? Muted. Haize, you're muted.
I was saying that I know this isn't the greatest thing for content, but I'm finding it hard right now to care about the NBA dunk contest. Like, I have players that I would love to see in it. I'd love to see players like Anthony Edwards in it, John Moran in it, but we're not going to do it. So I at this point, I don't have hopes. I don't have desires to see anybody in the dunk contest. If they wow me, they wow me. If not, I'll take a nap.
I will politely indulge Wes Goldberg's obsession with this meaningless weekend. And I will say, there's 2 names. DeAndre Hunter, secretly, pretty awesome in-game dunker. I kind of like to see DeAndre Hunter. That's like a little like quiet name who you could do a good one. Here's like the real answer. It's VJ Edgecombe. And he's not going to do it. He's already said he won't do it. And that sucks because VJ's like awesome. His in-game dunks, he has the right combination of athleticism. He glides, which is really what you want to see. And he's able to finish with authority at the rim. One of the things here, Wes, I think is kind of more interesting than who we want to see is, do you kind of notice that the way that NBA athletes have evolved, we don't have like, who is Isaiah Ryder right now? We don't have those guys, right? Like we don't have a Dwight Howard. We don't have, even really an Aaron Gordon. We don't have these guys that are built because the game is built so much now for you're either a wing forward that shoots threes, or you are a small ball 5, or you're just like a traditional big man who's too big to do it. Like we've kind of eliminated from a player athleticism development standpoint the tweeners who are the best ones at it. It's those 3-4 combos. And now everybody's either like a pure wing shooter or a real big. And we don't have many power forwards in the league. And that I think is one of the problems.
So the NBA, for some reason, keeps track of something called dunk scores.
Yep.
Justin Champagnie, the Washington Wizards Champagnie twin, has the current highest dunk score in the league by a pretty wide margin for his dunk against Boston in December. So I guess that would be my choice, because you're not getting the star players. To Haize's point, like Anthony Edwards ain't doing it. So, all right, like, can we get the Champagnie twins to put something like 20 together? I don't know. You got that. I want to see Anthony Black dunk on 4 players again. That would be kind of fun.
How crazy is it that we don't have there's not a Laker you would pick for this? I guess, I don't know. Haize, would Modest be any good at this?
For a dunk, I mean, he was bad last year in the dunk contest, but I think he would be better. I don't know if the moment got to him, but he's already said he's not doing it because he wants to save his body for the rigors of the season.
Yeah, the dunk contest stinks, and I think both of you guys are right. Haize, it's because the stars don't want to do it, and I think Matt, like, we just don't have those guys in the league anymore. Just dunking doesn't matter as much anymore. But
we gotta. This is the one where I think we got to come up with more creative solutions for how to reinvigorate.
I gave you the perfect solution. Have at least pick NBA players to sponsor some of the best street dunkers from around the world. That's the representative in the dunk contest. I think it gets you a pure dunk contest players that are actually, or people that are actually hungry to perform on that stage. I think it'll be probably the best show aspect that you can get from a dunk contest.
The fans only really care. This is really the story of this is fans only really care about names.
Mm-hmm.
They really only care about names. That's like the biggest thing here is
that's why I think my fix of like just folding the dunk contest into the All-Star game, where every time somebody dunks, because those are the biggest names, those are the All-Stars, so they're already in it by default by being in the All-Star game. Every time an All-Star dunks, you have the judges off to the side scoring the dunk, and then that way we get in-game dunks, which are always way better than just jumping over a Kia.
What's funny? You mentioned the Kia thing. I actually was kind of thinking, as much as it was corny in the early 2010s, I kind of missed the prop days. Just because it was at least something a little bit inventive.
Who took the ball off the drone?
Oh man, I don't remember.
Was that Aaron Gordon?
A sneaky underrated one that no one remembers because it wasn't you couldn't get the visual good enough. Paul George's in the dark, glow in the dark dunk was actually ridiculously awesome. Go watch that one. That one's that's a hidden gem that everyone's forgotten.
Yeah, the problem with it is that it was dark and nobody could see it.
And we could see it.
Oh, I got it. I got a mixture, like, especially because the NBA loves going on nostalgia. Every year, pick 4 prior NBA dunk contest winners. Have them pick a dunker from around the world. That's how you do. You mix in the new and the old. There you go.
That.
You should have them dunk around the world, like that guy that just did the skyscraper, that climbed the skyscraper, free solo guy. You should have them like dunk over there. I don't know, just dunk off a volcano.
Dunk off a volcano. There you go.
Speaking of dunks, not sure if you guys saw this, but Jackson Haize pulled off an in-game between the legs dunk on a breakaway in the fourth quarter. The Lakers win over the Bulls last night. Haize, I know you saw it. The Lakers were up 12 with 3 minutes to go. So not close, but the game's not over. Like, that was still reachable for Chicago to get into it. The Lakers obviously cruised to a win, so it didn't matter, but still a daring move there by Jackson Haize to try to pull off that in between the legs dunk on the break. I've obviously made it, but here's the real question.
What is real?
Should Jackson Haize, despite how cool it was, be reprimanded by his coachings for the dunk, even though, again, it was cool, Haize?
No, I mean, listen, this happened to the Bulls a lot. Well, Giannis had a crazy dunk on the Bulls and the game was decided. Now you're letting Jackson Haize do it, but I don't think he should be reprimanded for it. Like, he was having fun in the moment. The Lakers are winning the game. Like, it's okay to have fun in basketball. I don't know why this is a foreign concept for some casual fans. It's okay to have fun in basketball.
Go Google Jackson Haize's off-court exploits. If you're going to reprimand him, let's not reprimand him for this.
Fair enough. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA Daily wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thanks to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA Daily.